So to start out, I soak 5 pieces of GSP cane. This is the max that my drying rack can hold, and I soak them for about 8 hours, so overnight. The max maybe 12 to 24 hours. Next, I take my ruler and I measure the bark on the end of the reed. And right now it's at 28, and I'm gonna cut it down to 26. So I'm just gonna take a pair of scissors. Make sure it's at 26. Now I'm not going to do the other side just yet because I don't want to fold it over and have it split. I'm going to put it on my dowel and take a piece of sandpaper and just lightly graze over the top of it, flip it over, and graze over the inside of it. And then I'm going to score it. My cane already comes with the normal 5 vertical marks, but I like to do crisscross to kind of cancel out more splits. So I'm gonna do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then on the other side 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, this also helps if it's not soaked for enough time. If you just leave it in for like a few more minutes, it's more hydrated than before. I'm going to do it on the other side. 1, 2, 6, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Extra one. I'm just going to throw that in one more time. I'm going to take it back out of the water. Dry off my hand. Now on the side that I had cut already, I'm going to look underneath. I'm going to take my X-Acto knife again, and on the left side, on the bark, I'm going to make a little divot on the inside and cut almost like a little, not a semicircle, but like kind of, I'm cutting enough space so when it folds over and I'm crushing, it kind of folds in together. I'm just going to take sandpaper and I'm going to even that out. And let me show you what this looks like. And then I'm going to flip it over and do it on the other side. Now, of course, I didn't cut this side, so I'm just going to go up a little bit higher. Sandpaper. Throw it in one more time. When I take it back out, shake off a little bit. I'm going to take my ruler, and if you hold it up to light, I'm going to line up my ruler with that seam, and I'm going to fold it over. Now, I have a desk lamp that I'm able to use for scraping and adjusting. I would definitely recommend having a light in the space that you're using. I'm going to take scissors and I'm just going to even that out. Okay. I'm going to make sure that it's lined up properly so I can put the first wire on. Now that I have it lined up properly, I'm going to cut a piece of wire from my spool and 1/3 to 2/3. I'm gonna hold it down, making sure the right goes over the left at all times, and I'm just gonna go around, cross it in front, still making sure that it's lined in properly, hold it, and then I'm gonna take my pliers. I'm gonna pull and twist towards you. Now I'm just gonna push those wires together. And I usually like to evaluate where it is before I completely finish pulling and twisting. So now I'm just gonna push it up right to the collar. Making sure that that's even. Okay, now I'm gonna hold it again. Take my pliers, pull and twist. Now it's not extremely tight, but it's tight enough to hold it for the rest. And I'm just gonna take my wire clippers. This is just about the correct length that I want to cut. And that's my first wire. Now I'm just gonna throw that back in the water for a few minutes while I get my other supplies. I have rubber bands, forming mandrel, beeswax, ruler, pliers, and my other mandrel. Just gonna put this away. And beeswax. So I'm going to take this back out. Shake some of the water out of it. I'm going to take my rubber band. Still making sure that that's lined up correctly. I'm going to take my rubber band and about 5 millimeters above the butt of the reed. I'm going to hold it, and I'm just going to tightly wrap around the reed, and at least 2 or 3 wraps up on the blade. Then I'm going to come back down, and I puncture my rubber bands, so it's just held on by the first wire there. And I'm just going to throw this back in. I'm going to take my forming mandrel, and I'm going to lubricate it with beeswax. Take this back out. And of course, make sure you always have a towel down to catch cane and water. Now, I'm going to hold it like this and take my forming mandrel and just do little twists back and forth as I go up to find where I need to start crushing. Okay, so I start off by just crushing along with the cane once, and then I try again. And then for my second one, I go from the sides, push a little bit more, and then this is when I start to go around. And make sure I do a full circle once, keep pushing, do another full circle, and keep pushing. I have tape marking where I want my reed to reach before I switch it over to my regular mandrel. It seems like it's in the right spot, so I'm going to pull it off. Again with little twists, making sure not to have the blade slip. Put that to the side. I'm going to put this on my mandrel. A little bit more crushing. Push a little bit more. Pliers and do another circle. I also have a line marking where I want this to go. And I'm going to keep going and switching which directions I'm going in. Now I'm going to take my spool and cut more wire off. Now the first wire should be facing you, and you're going to do the same technique for the third wire. Always making sure that it's right over left. Mine slipped. Yeah, right over left. Okay. I'm going to hold the sides, cross it, twist it once, take my pliers, and tighten it a little bit. Now you want this wire to be 5 from the butt. Mine is just on it, so I'm going to push the wires together. Now I'm going to make it tight. And clip. Now I can take the rubber band off and have my second wire cut. Now you want your first and third wire to face away from you, and do the same technique right in the middle. Cross, twist, grab a hold, pull and twist, push the wires together. Now I'm going to measure where this is. Second wire should be 10 from the collar, and it's right there. So I'm going to make this tighter. And I'm going to clip. Now, to also prevent cracking, I'm going to crush in one direction between the second and third wire, and then I'm going to go back in the other direction. Because I can already see cracking starting to happen. Okay. And then I'm going to take this off, put my mandrel down, and I like to put beeswax on my pegs. You don't have to, but then put this as far down as I can, and that's one. And I'll come back when I have all 5. Now that I have all 5 done, I'm going to let them dry for at least 24 hours, and then I'm going to replace the first wire, tighten every wire, and wrap them. Now that I've let these dry, I actually just sat them under a hairdryer for a little bit. They're still cracking, but I think they're dry enough to wrap and adjust. I'm going to take the first one off of the rack and then off of the peg. Transfer it over to my mandrel. Just going to look at it for a little bit. I'm going to take pliers and just crush a little bit more. And around the butt. I'm going to tighten the third wire. This should be the tightest. I'm going to tighten the second wire, while making sure that they're in the right spot. Then I'm going to completely replace the first wire. Now that I have the wires replaced, I can start wrapping. You're going to take the end of your string. You're going to have the first and the third wire facing you. You're going to take it, wrap it up around the first wire, come back down, and again around the third, and you're going to go to your right. You're going to go under the third wire until you reach the front half, and then you're going to cross over the wire and on top, go around, and then you're going to leave a tiny bit amount of space around right in between where your wire crosses, well, your string crosses over your wire. So you can put the second down, and then you're going to leave a little bit more space when you come back up, a little bit more space when you come down, a little bit more space when you come up. As soon as you've got a big enough wrap, you're going to want to end when you're up above the wire, and you're just going to completely wrap around the tube in between the third and second wire, making sure that there's no space and any cane showing. All right, and then as soon as you get up to the top, you want that second wire to face you. And I'm just going to cut with some space. And you're going to turn it one more time. So now you have the first wire facing you. I'm going to bend the first wire down and take that loop off. And take my pliers and push that down so it's flush. And then I'm going to put this end through that loop, keeping my thumb there to make sure it's tight. And I'm going to take this extra that I left on the mandrel and pull it till that loop. Make sure this is tight. Pull it till the loop is under that wrap. Now you want your reed to be dry enough where the glue and the wrap does not fall off of the reed, and you also want to wrap your reeds so if you drop them by chance, the blade does not fall first. So now that's fully wrapped and sealed. I'm going to take my wire cutters and I'm just going to cut that third wire that's sticking out. And then I'm going to take Duco cement, open this. Make sure you're not applying any pressure so this doesn't overflow like it just did. And you're going to put a light coat around the entire wrap. I usually start with the flat part, and then I bring it down to the bulb of it. Just going in circles till it's fully covered. Wipe this off. And then I'm going to take my pliers and push that second wire down onto the wrap. And then I'm going to take this off the mandrel, again using small turns. And sometimes, there we go. Okay, and then I'm going to put this back onto the peg and let it dry. Now that all 5 reeds are wrapped, tied, and dried, I'm going to start scraping. I'm going to take my first reed and toss it in water. I'm going to get my supplies out. Now that I've got my reed out of water, I'm going to put it on the mandrel. I'm going to measure my blade. Right now from the collar, it is at 32. I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to clip the tip as close as possible so it's open. There we go. Measure that again. I am at 31. Now I'm going to put my plaque in. And push that down. And from the collar to the blade, I'm going to mark off with a pencil or a pen right in between 29 and 30. And then I'm going to mark 1 millimeter behind that. I'm actually going to mark right at 28. And then my heart. Should be around 27. So I have 3 lines. I'm going to take my reed knife and I'm going to create a ledge between the second line and the end, making sure to come off of the reed. I have my pointer finger supporting the blade and the rest of my hand holding the handle. I have fingers under the reed supporting it and my thumb pushing the blade forward. So I'm going to finish this ledge. Making sure not to take too much off. Okay, I'm going to do that on the other side. My reed knife. I'm going to flip back over, and I'm going to blend out that ledge to that 3rd line. Do it on the other side. Okay. And then I'm going to draw in corners. And I'm going to blend these out with that ledge, making sure I have proper technique with holding the knife so I don't cut any corners. Like I just did. Making sure to blend it out properly so it's not so abrupt. And I'm going to go to the other side. Then I'm going to keep blending. And go to the other side. Blend out those corners. Make sure I keep it wet. I'm going to take this out and hold it up to my light. Kind of. It should be equally blended. And then I'm going to put my pocket in one more time. Measure. Make a mark right at 30. And trim. And I'm just going to cut the corners a little bit and create those bumpers. Put that in water one more time. Now it's too high, so I'm just going to put my black back in one more time and just run down the rails. Making sure everything's even. Run down these rails. And that's day 1 through 3 of the reed making process. Now, after this first scrape stage, you're going to adjust it and play on it during lessons and judge how you're going to fix sound based off of production and ability.